Oh, I've got some brilliant crack stories. Oh, one of my favourite.
Bet you have.
I'm one of those people that...
I'll just let you finish your dinner.
No, I'm one of those people that no one really cares about until recently.
Oh, okay.
Even then, they don't really care then. I can't book a job for love nor money.
I care about you. I've been gushing over you in a slightly kind of creepy way.
Well, he's continued to gush because it feeds my ego.
I know.
No, yeah.
No, Mark warned me. Mark, your producer, today, said I can come to the show tonight as long as I don't sit and drool.
Well, as long as you bring your own napkin to nap it up.
Just keep tapping. You'll need napkins. It's hot in there.
It's hot in there and...
It's hot in here.
I'm sweating because I don't know the words.
Oh.
Or the notes, actually. Mm.
Sometimes you need both in unison.
And just look at someone else.
Just hand it over.
That's,
So we're talking about the Crazy Cocks presents music of the 90s.
The 90s! The year
musicals of the 90s.
Musicals of the 90s. 93 I was born as well, so...
Were you?
Half of these, I was about 7 when they actually came out.
Were you a stagey child? I know you were. You were Lucy May Barker.
We were like stagey teens,
Okay.
I feel like, because... Well, my dad always loved musicals. I swear he's going to come out one day. But he, like, we always, like, grew up around, like, Superstar and Evita and stuff, just playing in the car. So, but then, like, stagey teens, yeah. Good old Lucy May Barker. Joe Richardson, who's now in Tina. I'm trying to think who else. There's a load of us that went off and kind of...
But how did it start? So you did... What did you do together? Summer camp or something?
We did. The first thing I did was Les Mis school edition together. When she was lovely street urchin Eponine.
And how old were you?
And I was about 13, she was about 14, and I was the pimp. I gave a fantastic performance as the pimp, because I couldn't sing until I was about, well, can't sing now, but 18, 19 was when I was kind of like, oh, I have a voice. So before that I was all like character parts, like always being silly, which is where my love of being silly came from. So I gave my Pirelli and Sweeney Todd, gave my Angel and Rent. I gave
you?
I did. Yeah, these
I
old lallies,
go back and look at those pictures.
I mean, they're awful. I've still got the stilettos as well. I was doing flick ups and
You still
round ups and
Your feet up round?
yeah, no, size 10. So got the yes. I just walk around the house and do the housework, to be fair. Then the other ones, I had these like ABBA like 5-inch platform boots that came up to about here. Those costumes were great actually. I loved it.
Yeah.
And I had like a green jockstrap.
It was
great.
fierce. Wow.
Feared is probably more the word. But no, we did that. What else did we do? We did... I think Our House was one of the other ones. Lucy had left by that point. Because she fucked off to go and do Spring Awakening because she was a big successful professional. Well, she did Annie as well. She did Annie when she was very young as well. So that was, fucking years ago.
You're still friends, aren't you?
No, we hate each other. Can't stand the bitch.
Yeah, jealous.
She's literally one of my favourite people on the planet because she's batshit mental, like me. And she's one of those people, she's shit at replying. Yeah, shit at replying, Lucy May Barker.
Takes back.
But no, it's one of those people, you see someone who you could not see for 3 months or 3 years, and then you see each other and it's like you saw each other last week.
Yeah. And
nothing's ever changed. She's one of those people as well that I think has been herself since she was about 12 and hasn't changed over all those years. Pardon me.
Have you ever been in for Mamma Mia?
Yes. The last time I was in for Mamma Mia, I was hideously hungover and I walked in and sang Mysterious Girl by Peter Andre.
Wow,
complete with
I
stop and stare at you walking on the shore. Yeah, giving it all that. And I said, oh, fantastic, would you like to come back and dance later? And I said, no, not really. And left, and that was the last time I was in for Mamma Mia. Yeah, it was...
Does Peter Andre feature regularly in your rep folder?
No, I did it as a dare. And it was one that
You
was,
really didn't want the job, did you?
there are two shows I would never like only because right, there are two shows that this is not any kind of like, you know, I'd always like work. I mean, anyone like to book me would be great. Cats is too much hard work every day.
Yeah.
That's too much work for the injury and for the no, I'm lazy. And Mamma Mia, the work you have to be in to stay in shape, to look that good and take your shirt off 8 shows a week, and the spray tans smelling like biscuits in the middle of December. Do you know what? I'm all right.
Yeah.
I'm all right. I love it, but I'm all right. That's not for me. That, you know, I like having a beer too much to have those chiseled abs every day.
I think you are looking quite good at the moment.
Oh, stop it! Tell me again. No, I do all right. It's just I like a pint. Like up here's fine, down here a little bit of a belly. So you know, it's the same. It's what insulin. It's the fat storing hormone, and I had to have lots of sugar to keep myself alive. Other energy drinks available.
So you talked about your diabetes very recently at your cabaret.
I did.
Pals, pints, and diabetes.
Pints, pals, and diabetes. Other way around, but very close. 10 points to Gryffindor. It was weird. Something I never thought I would ever do, but did. So
I like what you talked about because it was quite empowering.
Oh, thanks.
You made a lovely speech before singing Dear Evan about how you don't use the word suffer.
No, so I definitely feel that. I guess it comes off the back of mental health stuff recently because it's very like mental health awareness and it's great, it's amazing. But I don't like it when they say, when they suffer from depression and they suffer from anxiety. I'm like, no, fuck that. Like, suffering is a choice, being a victim is a choice. I live with diabetes, I live with manic depression, I live with anxiety. I'm not defined by them. I have diabetes doesn't have me. I have manic depression doesn't have me. And the moment you say suffer, you're empowering the condition rather than empowering yourself. And so to me, like, I have lots of strong opinions about lots of things, but that's one that I'm kind of like, that is something to take forward. If there's anything I can spread in the world, it would be that for me. Just because sometimes I think, okay, controversial. I'm not about mental health ever being used as an excuse.
Yeah.
And I think it's only ever used as an excuse for things if you let it control you. Because there are, like I said in my show, you were there. You get friends these days that will do why didn't you just talk to me? When I'm ill, the last thing I want to do is talk about it.
Yeah.
When I'm doing well, I can sit and talk about it openly. I can do my show. I can sit and talk to friends about when I'm struggling, when I'm down. When I'm down, again, I don't like the term down either because that just assumes sad. You know, there's a difference between depression and sadness, and being a bit worried and anxiety. Liking things neat and tidy and OCD, they're actually very different things. And I feel like that line gets blurred so often. And when you're okay, you can talk about it. When you're not, the last thing you want to do is sit and talk about it. You just want to be on your own, lock yourself in a dark room and hide from the world. So, what am I trying to say? I feel like that is when the suffering language comes in, and that needs to be eradicated. Because if you've got a day where, like, I can't leave my flat today, fine, don't leave your flat. Don't do it. Or you're going to crap out on friends because you're going out for drinks and you just can't face it. Fine. Take that day. There's like the whole it's okay not to be okay and all of that, which I believe and I buy into. But too much of that stuff for me is conceding to the condition. It's a fight. Yes, it's a battle. But the moment you're a victim, you're defeated already. The moment you wallow in it, you're defeated. And I choose not to be. Choose happy. I have a cushion on my sofa that says choose happy. And every day it's like, yeah, choose happy. Happiness is fun. Because life ain't fun sometimes. Sometimes it's great.
And when you talk about your manic depression, is it triggered by certain things? Or is it always kind of there in the background for you? Like, relative of whether you haven't
I'd say it's always... The nature of manic depression, it's either crazy high or crazy low. There's kind of very little in between. So the medication I take is to try and level me out in the middle. The problem with some of that sometimes is when it levels you out to be in the middle, it can make you a non-person.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of just wipes you out. So you can function and you can exist, but you're not there. Like, it was something my ex-girlfriend used to comment all the time, was being like, you're not here at the moment, are you? I was like, no. But that's also the point of the drugs that you take for it. So when you're crazy high, that the highs are huge, but then the lows are so low and you can slip down a dark path and things like that. But for me, I'd say that's always in the background. The one that I've only recently kind of dealt with properly is like anxiety and panic attacks. Like I'd never had panic attacks, never really had anxiety problems until the last 6 months when I left Mormon after being there for 3 years. And I've never experienced anything like it before. You can hear people talk about panic attacks and what it's like. Till you've had one, I never really understood what that meant and what that was. And so that's something that I think is triggered either by sudden change or, again, the unexpected.
Yeah, because your first one was in an audition, wasn't it?
In an audition, in the middle of an audition. It's a final for a big West End job, a job that I thought I'd be great for. I think they thought I'd be great for because I was in the finals. And just walked in, stood in the middle of the room, stood on an X. There's the camera, there's the team, ready to send to America, and just I started shaking, sweating, went the colour of that wall. I couldn't speak. Got about once through the song, about halfway through one of the scenes before it was we just need to stop this, and it was bad, man. Like,
but apparently Arnold was great.
It was amazing.
Helpful.
He was incredible, and just kind of took me out. And just like, are you okay? And I was just there. I was like, what? Why am I such a nervous? Why am I doing this? And of course they had to continue with the day. But Jim was really great, and he actually cast the job I did after that little workshop of the new show. And after that audition, like, he came out and we had like a bit of a chat about it. And he was saying like, how was that? Are you okay? Like, he's a lovely, lovely man, Jim. It's been very good to me. So, thanks, Jim. If you're ever watching this, you're great.
So what do you think is the way forward? Because obviously those symptoms are do you feel it's the pressure you are under as a performer? Or is there anything that can help?
Do you know what? No. And there's so much of stuff like, how do we help this? What's the best thing moving forward? What's the best way for acceptance or understanding? It's just to keep going.
Yeah.
Like, there is no... This is something I'm always going to have, like my diabetes. It's not going to be like it's ever going to go away. So, for want of a better phrase, deal with it. Live with it. Don't suffer from it. Live with it. Deal with it. You've got times where it's going to be shit. And you're going to walk into a massive audition and you're going to blow it. You're going to absolutely break down and not be able to do it. Other days you're going to walk in, be amazing and book the job. That's the way it goes. And you can't... The moment you... anyway, don't put that in.
Let's talk about your diabetes, and I mean you are living with it since more than half your life.
More than half my life. I was 13 years old. On my 13th birthday, I was diagnosed. So, yeah, it's...
And you're in control of it and you manage it.
Yeah,
but
as much as we can. It's one of those conditions where it's never going to be perfect.
No.
There's only so much you can do. A lot of it is educated guesswork to do with injecting the right amount of insulin and taking blood sugars and all of that. So there's only so much you can actually control. But I've survived so far, so I'm alive, just.
But with regards to work, until recently, it's not really impacted your career
not until recently.
Yeah, was that quite a crush? So what happened?
Do you know, so I auditioned for a job and I was recalled and then got offered the job, negotiated the contract, everything I wanted, accepted the job. And then a few weeks down the line, we found they called and said, "Oh, Alex, being a diabetic is a problem for us." And I'm kind of like, "Oh, okay, why?" He's too much of a risk to have in the company. Okay, well, here's notes from my doctors, my consultant, all of these things saying, I'm fit for work, I'm healthy for work, I'm well controlled, all of that. and they said no, our insurance won't cover it, and I had to pull out the job, just like that. And I was like, oh, okay. And I think that was kind of the first time I've ever been told I can't do something just because I have the condition.
Is that quite a blow?
Do you know what it was? Because in my brain I'm invincible and I can do anything with it. And all of a sudden you're being told you can't?
Now, do you agree with them? Do you think
No.
they're right to...
Fuck no. Sorry, I swear quite a lot. No. Sorry, Mum. No, like... Look, I get it. You don't want someone around who is potentially a risk. But in the same way, you're telling me that someone who has a severe nut allergy isn't a risk. Someone who has asthma isn't a risk. Someone who has something like Crohn's disease isn't a risk. Like there's all these things that you can go, okay, where do you draw the line? And to be fair, I feel like it was kind of discrimination.
Yeah.
But you can pursue that and say, oh, I want to sue, I want to do this, but what are you going to gain from it? Like,
you're not going to get a job.
You're not going to get a job. You might get some money out of it. Okay, do you know what's better? Let me do the job I auditioned for and that you wanted me to do before you found out I was a diabetic.
But then I think to challenge it would perhaps set new standards. They might, going forward, change. Because, like, say, if the case was their insurance policy wouldn't allow for it, if you made an example of that,
sure,
reforms might happen. I think that's why people challenge things sometimes.
Sure, and I completely get that. This, again, to say without giving specifics, this was for a cruise ship. And a lot of cruises I know are like defined by maritime law, which is not anything to do with what we are. And maritime law is kind of a law unto itself, and they can decide what they want when they want. So I completely get that side of it. You go like, it seems unfair, but life ain't fair.
Yeah.
And my attitude, not in an arrogant way, is like, okay, I'll get another job then. I'll work for someone else who doesn't deem me to be a risk. Okay, bye, thanks, cheers. But yeah, no, it was a blow. But again, whenever I don't get a job or something doesn't work out, I allow myself a day to be pissed off about it, upset about it. Then after that, you got to move on, got to get over it. Yeah. But I try and allow myself an hour. Some things they take a day. But you're allowed to be gutted about stuff. I think that's something that other actors kind of feel like, well, it's just business. Oh, I didn't get it. Oh, but it's fine. No, if you've invested time, you invested work in the material, you've gone to round after round, and you didn't get something, you're allowed to be upset about that. You're allowed to be down. You're allowed to be pissed off about that. However, when you're talking to someone 3 weeks later and they're still wallowing and, oh, I didn't get that job, you're like, okay, there comes a time, buck up, be a professional, move on. We get rejected every day. That's the job we signed up for, so you've got to get on with it. But I guess that you're kind of getting a vibe that's me as a person. Like, you do it. But everything, you just carry on. You don't suffer, you carry on. There are people dying of hunger around the world. That's suffering. Not getting a job as an actor is not. There's more to life. Like drinking.
As you said, is that vodka in there?
No.
And you have booked a job. What have you got coming up? Are you allowed to say yet?
No.
Oh, I bet not then. Let's skip that.
No, let's skip that.
Let's go back then to
other jobs rather than that one.
To your Arts Ed.
Arts Ed.
What do you like at Arts Ed?
A dick.
Same
as I am now. Like, that's one thing actually. My mate Dan Partridge is doing Danny on Grease at the moment on the tour, and
was he in your year?
Yeah, so we were the same year, and I think it was Ryan who's doing Grease with him.
Anderson, yeah.
Ryan Anderson, and they turn over day one. And you're like, you know this person, that person. Like, oh, you work with Logic. I just work with Logic. Oh, great. So he'll get his dick out all the time. Yeah, and I feel like that's a thing I'm becoming known for, is that because I just
get it out,
run around naked. I don't like. Here's the thing. I like silliness. I like being stupid. I like being silly, because that to me is the tonic of life. Laughter is the tonic of life. I like stupid dad jokes. I like humour in bad taste. I like just stupidity. I love all of it.
Should have done her.
I auditioned, didn't get it.
Oh, so bad. Ryan did that. What was that? Because you went with Ryan on Romance above the
Bromance above the Stag.
Did you have a little bromance?
Yeah, it's great. All of us, to be fair, that us four lads had a fucking great time.
Blair and Jordan.
Just because, to be fair, it was something that came through. This is another thing where I was like, go to every audition. The amount of things that come through where you go, would I fancy that? Oh, like, and 4.5 years ago, I auditioned for Altar Boys at Greenwich.
Yes.
That I think Doyle did, Liam
Doyle,
Doyle,
yeah.
Johnny Fines, all those great bunch of lads. And I was up for the track that Johnny Fines did, and I didn't get it. And Stephen Dexter directed that.
Right.
And I auditioned for this job, didn't get the job. Cut to 4.5 years later, I've never worked with Dex since, never seen him out for a drink, like nothing. My agent gets a phone call saying, "Oh, Steve Dexter would like to. He thinks he's got a part for you. Would you be interested? It's this thing he's doing at the Stag." I was like, "Oh, I don't know Stephen, but fine, go along." And yeah, from an audition I did 4.5 years previous, where I didn't get the job. I then got off the job from so it's one of those, go to every audition because you never know who you're going to meet and what it's going to lead to. But that kind of came from that. And then Jordan Lee Davies texted me saying, "You're going to be my husband." And I was like, "Can be."
Like
it was like, great. And so it was a great 6 weeks, and I love working with Ryan. He's such an amazing person.
He talks openly about his mental health as well. I think you're very similar in that way. You kind of both have a very strong, good attitude.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it's very easy to not talk about it, and that there is, especially with like what Kathy and Scarlett are doing with Industry Minds and things like that, to open the conversation about it. And I'd never done it before my show 2 weeks ago. Before I was kind of like, right, I'm writing a show. What do I have to say? Whether people agree or not, this is kind of my view on it. If anyone cares or wants to listen, that's what I think. And then quite a lot of stuff has come from that, but I think working with Ryan helped me kind of go, we can talk about this, because I talk about it with friends, but never in like a kind of public open platform. And I think it's because you never want to be seen as someone who's weak or someone who's unreliable or someone who's all of these things. But now I'm like, oh well, fuck it. I think it's getting a little bit older. Well, not older, but 26.
Oh, yeah.
Again, not like
baby.
young, but not a spring chicken of 19 when you graduate college. And so I think you start to see through the bullshit a bit more, and you're like, oh, okay, if that's what you think of me, fine, I don't care. Thanks very much. If you have a problem with me, that's your problem, not mine. Move on. And I think that's where my attitude to kind of now talking about mental health comes from, because I'm like, well, if you disagree, you don't want to work with me because of that, then well, fuck you, I'll work with someone else who does. And it's been quite cathartic actually to hear other people, not to like, oh, I've been through similar, oh, I go through the same thing, just to hear that other people want to talk too. And actually the whole year came about from our mate Matt Harvey, who's in Jesus Christ Superstar, playing Peter at the Barbican Centre. So I could do this. I'm very good.
Have you been to see it?
I'm going on Thursday matinee this week.
You're gonna love it.
I just can't wait to hear Ricardo Alfonso
sing
that score. It's like a once in a generation voice.
Like I thought Tyrone Huntley was great.
Tyrone's also been really good.
Different.
I did Fame with Tyrone in Lincoln.
Yeah.
That was one from the that is another one that's got, so he was Tyrone in Fame as Tyrone. I was little Nick Piazza. I wanna make magic. That's another story. So talking of Jodie Steele earlier, because you're all at ZL.
Yeah.
I was meant to be joining the tour of Fame that
With Jodie.
When that happened, playing Nick. It was going to be my first show about the drama school, and then 2 weeks before it opened, the whole tour got pulled. So they were out on tour, and we were meant to be joining, and then we were meant to be, I think, rehearsing in somewhere like Canterbury, and we found out via Twitter that the whole tour had been closed. So I was like, oh,
It happens.
what a lovely start to my career that was.
Even do you know Ronan who's in Titanic at the moment?
Ronan Burns, yeah.
How crazy is that? He was so excited about that, and then suddenly.
Because it's such an incredible show to be a part of, and I think anyone who's ever done it in any of its incarnations, from the Southwark to Toronto to the tour to London to now, when you're in it, it is something incredible to feel, and then to have that all of a sudden just not. But any job closing early or not coming to fruition is shit. It's shit. People have lives, people have mortgages, people have families. But something as special as that, it was like, even I was like, I'm not even a part of the show anymore, and I went, man, that's a hard pill to swallow. Like, if you ever get the chance to see that production, if you haven't, go, because it is one of the best bits of theatre ever.
Did you enjoy doing it?
I loved it. I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
If they wanted me.
If they take you to China.
Literally, I would. That show changed my life. Titanic changed my life.
Really?
Toronto changed my life. Those people changed my life. I was 22 at the time, and I'd just come off tour with Saturday Night Fever, and I was in a company, people like Nadim Naaman, Scott Garnham, James Hume, Celia Graham, Greg Castiglione, Simon Green, people that I've looked up to as like a young musical theatre student, seeing them in stuff, especially people like Nadim and Scott that were like kind of like heroes to me. And all of a sudden I'm on the same billing as them, sharing an apartment with Scott. But here I was just, and I was, I couldn't believe I was there. It was one of those first moments of going, I'm doing this. What? Like it blew my mind. It really blew my mind. And then things like the press night, meeting Colm Wilkinson. He's just there chilling, just like I've got a very picture of a very drunk me. When Colm Wilkinson being like, oh, okay, sure. And then this opera superstar around the world, Ben Heppner, was in it with us in Toronto, and I was like, he took us to his house, he like threw us like a pool party barbecue one Sunday after one of the shows, and you walk in, just 3 Grammys just sat above and we're acting as if this is normal, like, oh yeah, we got your pop round. So I was like, how am I here with these people in this situation? He's got a Steinway like big grand piano in his lounge. Just sits down, starts playing and singing for everyone. Then Mark Aspinall, the MD, sits down and Celia starts whacking out. And God knows what, we're all battered. But one of those nights where you go, how am I here? This whole experience, how am I here? Being a part of the show as well, getting to do that 8 a week was just, it changed my life. I would go back in a heartbeat. It was amazing. It's the best show I've ever done. Best show I've ever done. The best 3 months of my life was that show in Toronto. And it was a long time ago now.
So let's talk about other life changes. Book of Mormon.
Book of Mormon.
Was that your first West End job?
Yeah, first West End show.
Not a bad show to get.
It's alright, isn't it? Yeah.
Doing quite well, I think.
Not my thing, I've heard of it. Yes, and that was another thing that
that's why I never saw you in it, because the tickets are so damn hard to get on.
200 quid a seat. Are you joking?
And because you were obviously standby.
Yes, yeah, so, and a swing, and
so never know when you were going to go at it. Be like, well,
it was.
You can't like tell people, oh, I'm going to be on this day.
And the thing with it being, you hear, oh, it's sold out all the time. You never really understand what that means until you're there. Like I say to friends all the time, like, no, genuinely, 8 shows a week, 52 weeks a year, every single seat is full, whether it's schools have just gone back or it's the middle of summer or it's Christmas, all the time it's full. Then we had night shows, sometimes some Friday matinees as well, and they would sell out, like every single seat sold. It is a phenomenal.
What do you think it is about that show that makes it so popular? Because one of those shows that could have gone either way.
Could have, and
I never sitting there looking around going, I love it, it's my type of humour, but I was like, how?
How do they?
It's not offending anybody.
Yeah. I mean, So I've seen walkouts, and some of them are like
really?
absolutely people storming out, throwing their ticket down in the foyer. This is outrageous!
I didn't realise that.
It's amazing. Oh my god, there was one.
You just sit there behind your beard giggling.
This little old couple. I was doing a show watch in the back. This little old couple. For anyone who hasn't seen the show, it's quite rude. But for anyone who has, there's like a section.
Even by your standards.
I mean, you saw my show. There's a section in Act 2 where the Ugandans retell the version of what they have been told is the story of Mormonism, which is completely wrong. And at this point in the show, we've gone through fuck you God in the ass, mouth and cunt. We've gone through Hitler receiving a blowjob. We've gone through, some pretty bad shit. And then you get to this section. It's quite bad, but you've had all the really hard, shocking stuff beforehand. Only then did this little old couple get up and walk up the aisle and come out and say, oh, we don't think this one's for us. We're going to go. It's like, at what point in all the shit you sat through in the last 2 hours have you decided that's too far?
Yeah.
I'd go, but hey, they loved it and they stayed. And they saw all the bad shit by then. After that, there's nothing offensive after that bit. That's kind of the crux. But it is one of those where I think it's a great show for people who don't do going to the theatre and don't do musicals.
Yes.
Because in itself, the show is taking the piss out of musicals. Yeah. Every song is a pastiche of another type of musical. Yeah. And it's a work of genius. It's an absolute work of genius.
Is that why you stayed with it so long?
And the money.
And the money.
No, I genuinely...
And the dressing room, you guys have so much banter. The Instagram videos that come out of those dressing rooms are ridiculous.
We were having a water fight the other day. Just, why not? Just grab this. But it is stupidity, and I think that's another reason why I loved it. The show is short. It comes down by 10:45, 10 to 10. So you're in the pub by 10. Great. As we had it once, I think me and Rolly FaceTime Matt Jeans when he was in Les Mis. And like, right, we're going to the pub, where are you? And so, oh, Valjean's just singing Bring Him Home as we're leaving the stage door. They've just got to the barricade. Okay, fine. So there's that. There's also good money. However, it feels like you get paid to piss around every day because it's fun. It's fun to do. It's hard. It's really hard. But it's fun and it's silly and it's stupid. And that's just me as a person. Fun, silly, and stupid. And I loved it. It's a hard show to leave as well because, especially if you've not got a job to go directly on to, because why leave?
When do you decide that? Was it like a couple of months before the end?
So it's normally about halfway through the year.
Right.
You get asked, would you like to stay? Would you, like to take on anything extra? Would you like to go? But I think by my third year, I'd achieved everything I was going to achieve with it. So I started the show with second cover, then moved up as second cover price, then moved up through the ranks. So I did like 198 performances by the end, which is 2 away from 200, which my OCD is fine with.
We should have had a couple of extra Fridays.
One 2-show day. That's all I needed to get to solid 200. But so I feel like even though I was like an offstage like standby and cover, everything that I as an actor was going to do with it, I'd achieved. If I was suddenly given the role to take over full time, the only thing I'm going to gain from that is more money and having to do it more, because what I've got out of it as a creative person, I've done. Like I've done that now. So I was ready to go by the end, I think. But I think a lot of people are. You feel a moment, whether you've been there 6 months or 3 years, in yourself when it's time to move on from those kind of things. Which is so hard to do, and like there were many tears before bedtime in the last couple of weeks. But it's great. I'm back there at the moment on standby for just to sit in the building for a bit because of swings and covers and things, and it's nice because I've been out for 6 months, and then just to pop back up for a week at a time or something like that if they need you it's like going home. It's really cute.
It must be quite a few of you now after 6 years of going?
Around, we'll say 6. Yeah, 6.
Something like that, isn't it?
It's amazing.
You'll be racking through them.
Yeah, and a year goes so quick. When you're signing up, you think, oh god, a year's contract, that's a long time. Before you know it, it's like, oh, we're 9 months in and we're leaving soon. So it is a long time. The 8-show-a-week grind can be slow.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden you look up and you're 9 months into a year's contract and it flies by. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
You workshopped Dreamgirls, didn't you?
Yeah, that was one of the coolest 4 days of my life.
What was that like?
Great fun, especially doing something where you know you're never. There's no vested interest in you being like, oh, I want to impress because I want them to use me in the show. Like,
play.
I'm a middle class white man in a show that is about African American people in the 70s and 80s. So you can literally just go in and play, and it was me, Sean Parkins, Dave McMullen, and Ben Clare with Casey Nicolau and John McGuinness, just in the studio for 3-4 days, trying out the choreography, being like, how does this look? Because Casey's done it in his brain, and John's worked out what the counts are, but they've never seen it on actual bodies to be like, okay, well, before we go into rehearsals, what is this? Is it any good? And just being a part of that process, watching a genius like Casey Nicolau kind of go, okay, well, how about now we try it that way, and okay, well, if you go now, okay, you boys do it on that side, and then it was great. And of course, getting to do a little bit of I love being a woman. Yeah, great. Sign me up. I could be a dream girl.
Have you done drag yet? Apart from Hunter.
Okay.
Hunter, you were 11, weren't you?
So
Oh, you're getting out the phone.
So this is the story of this. At ArtsEd, when you have your third year productions, you're split into two halves. The year group is split into two halves, and you rehearse two different productions at the same time. And the final dress rehearsal of the opposite production to what you're in, the third years go dressed up as that kind of show. So we were doing Soho Cinders and Evita. So we were in Evita, and we were going to watch the Soho Cinders dress rehearsal. And we all go dressed up. So of course we all go as like drag queens and lesbians and God knows what from Soho. And I borrowed one of Amy's dresses. Where is this? I look great. I do me. It's in here somewhere. And I got like an electric wig, but I had a big beard at the time because we were doing Evita. So the amount of powder on my face to try and like get rid of it. Here we go. So I send this to you to post a long time. So this is me.
Wow, what legs.
Legs. And then this is me the next morning in tech for Evita. Those photos are taken less than 12 hours apart. But there we go. I mean, still with the beer belly then as well, you see there. And quite good tits. I'll give you...
I mean, you still do.
I'll send you that one as well
it.
To, there's your comparison.
Yeah.
We'll pop that with the video. So yes, I have done drag. That's Miss Penetration.
Of course.
And I've not done it since though, so if anyone wants me, I'll do it. I'll do anything for money.
Talking about workshops though, you recently workshopped the Osmonds.
Yeah, the Osmonds, man.
Tell me more about that, because I didn't get to see it. So
you didn't?
No.
Oh, it was cool as fuck, man. Like,
because it looked amazing. Were you Jay?
So I was Jay, and so the whole show is basically, the way I've explained to people is like Jersey Boys, but about the Osmonds running the Four Seasons. And it's quite similar in style, with a lot of direct address, a lot of people coming forward, talking directly to the audience, and then this happened and stepping into a scene. Apart from with Jersey Boys, each of the 4 seasons steps forward at a certain point to give their version of events. Whereas with the Osmonds musical, it's all from Jay's perspective. So he was the youngest of the original 4 Osmond brothers, and then Donnie and Marie and Jimmy all came after him, so he was the one in the middle of the original and the younger Osmond. So it all happened around him, where the others went off to go and do producing. Donnie and Marie became massive stars, and he was just kind of there watching it all happen. And so the show is kind of like his memory of his life, and it was amazing. It was such an amazing 2 weeks getting to meet, I mean, a rock star legend, someone like Jay. And not only that, but getting to like be him.
So who was in the room then?
So Sean Kerrison and Julian Big have written it, and with a guy called Buster Anderson, who's like basically the Cameron Macintosh of Sweden, and that's kind of where it has come about, and it's got legs and it's happening, which is going to be amazing. At some point, watch this space in the future. But it's come from like. I feel like Jay writing this show with Sean and Julie is kind of his therapy of working out what's happened in their crazy life.
Yeah.
Because like not many people see the dark side of their life, because they see that the Osmond image, the we all do this, we all do that, and the party line is almost what we called it. Like the when you're asked, so how do you get on as a family? There's a scripted response kind of thing, and this is kind of now like the more unsanitized version of how Jay remembers those situations happening, kind of thing. So to get to sit and talk to him about
that's really fascinating,
about his relationships with his brothers, and about like God, his parents were just incredible people, incredibly hard, but incredible people, and to sit with him. I remember when the first day he came into rehearsals, and to sit there and you go around and say, oh, I'm playing Bob, I'm playing Fred, I'm playing and he said, I'm playing you, and then he got up and sang with us. We did a bit of a sing through for him, and he came over and just stood next to me, put his arm around me. I've got a great picture of it on Instagram, and I'm like welling up, because again, not like, oh my God, this is emotional, just again, how am I here?
Yeah.
Well, one of those moments, how am I in this room doing this? He just like embraced me like a surrogate son, and stood there and sang with me, and then got his phone number. I was literally like I'm texting J Osmond, as in the J Osmond of the Osmonds, in my phone. But to sit like their life, man. By the time he was the age I am now, they'd lost like $80 million, and it'd been all stolen from them, or they've made some bad investments and things like that. And at the age of 26, he was like, I'm out, I don't want to do it anymore. But they'd been famous for like 15 years at that point, because they started when he was like 6 years old. So to embrace that, to think like when they were 17, they played with Led Zeppelin in London. They just got up on stage and played. They had like 13 gold records in 1 year. That's more than Elvis ever had, that's more than the Beatles ever had. Their life is insane. It's absolutely insane.
And were you familiar with them before taking the job?
I was. So my mum was a massive Donny Osmond fan, and she said she had his poster of the Osmonds on her wall, and Donny Osmond. So I knew the song. I didn't know, of course, the in-depth story of their life and stuff. But I was definitely like, I wouldn't say a fan, but familiar enough to go like, oh great, that's them. And my mum came down to see the workshop and got to meet Jay, which was amazing. She was like a teenage girl.
How was your dad?
He didn't get to see it. No, my dad didn't get to see it. So hopefully when the show happens, and if they still want me to do it, he'll get to see it then. But it was one of those two, like no one could ever take that away from me as a thing that happened. That was just cool. I think that's stuff I want to do more of, is like creating new stuff, or just doing workshops of when you're saying words for the first time that only your writers heard for themselves.
Yeah.
And of course, and with, again, like the Dreamgirls thing, no vested interest in going forward and doing the project full time. You're just there to create something rather than with an end goal, if that makes sense. I'm explaining it really badly, but just to be in a room and create where there's no other reason to be there other than to create something, to go, what have we written here, what have we got here, rather than give me the job, or I want that role, or I want this. No. That's fun. That's really fun. I loved it. I can't wait for it to happen. So if it can happen like really soon, that'd be great. It's fun.
I want to talk about Closer to Heaven.
Never been closer to heaven.
You were in, one of the original, most recent revivals.
There's
been two seasons, but
yeah.
it's on at the moment.
So there was the first one at the Union, which I wasn't in. Then they did it again at the Union that I was in, and now they're doing it at the Stag. So the three they've had, I was in the middle one.
Sandwiched.
You
and Johnny.
Me and Johnny Dudley. Oh, that. So we did 3 jobs on the trot together. We did Titanic together, then Close to Heaven, then Mormon together. So we've said kind of from now on we only come as a pair. So you have to book both of us.
I'd take you both.
Oh, thank you. No, he's a special boy.
He's a dream. I love that boy.
And he put up with me on that job, just trying to put my hands down his pants, grabbing his bum, grabbing his boobs. And he's like, my mum is watching. Stop it. And I'm like, well, no, that's great. Like, who else? Molly Maguire, Ben Kavanagh, Mick Kyle. It was such a good company in that. And we had a laugh. I mean, so it was the old Union.
Yeah.
Put your teeth in. And it was in like the middle of November, so it was fucking cold.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing like hot pants. I'm wearing like walking around with no clothes on, and it was freezing. And to do the crossover of the old Union, I don't know if anyone remembers it. You have to go out of the space, out the front of the theatre, and back in through the little side door. Literally snowing outside in November, and you're stood in little gold hot pants and little plastic chest plate, trying to go. Oh, it was one of those to get the glamour of show business.
If I'd known that, I'd have been still on the street corner.
Well, alas.
Yeah.
Time flies.
I did come and see it though, so I remember.
It was it was a good laugh. It's a good laugh. I need to go and see it. I'm going to go see it.
You're going to go see it.
Yeah, I need to speak to.
Is it weird when you kind of watch shows that you've been in?
Do you know what? I've never actually done
Have you not
that
seen Titanic yet?
Oh yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
a lie. Yes, I saw that, and that was weird because I saw the first production of it at the Southwark.
Yeah.
Then I did it, and then they did the Charing Cross, and the Charing Cross was the first time where they had a lot of new phases in it compared to the
Yeah.
people that had done it before. So it was just weird hearing just different voices sing the
Yeah.
same song and go, oh, I mean that's normally Nadim, that's normally Celia. Oh, that's other people now.
That's what it's like when you watch Lion King, the movie.
Really excited.
Yeah,
I think I'm going to go this
do
afternoon.
that today.
Yeah.
The voice is just like, ooh, you're not going actors. It's like, oh, what are you doing? And then when Beyonce comes out, it's like,
Beyonce? Like,
that's Beyonce, let's be honest.
I can't wait.
Oh, it's brilliant though.
I feel like when she's done this album now with like stuff about the like I feel like when Disney booked her, she booked Disney rather.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so
I'll be doing this.
I'll be doing this, and now I'm going to do this off the back of
They've
it.
given
and
her a whole new
like,
song, which is like, what is this?
Someone else said they were doing like "Can You Feel the Love Tonight" and it's daytime. I was like, okay, I've not seen it yet, so I will.
Oh, it is
yeah.
stunning. The visual effects.
I can't wait.
It's like watching a wildlife documentary. It's like, how have they?
It's like, how have they got these lions to do it? It's
Yeah.
marvellous.
It's like, how did they make him do that? But yeah,
I
it's
love
brilliant.
it. I can't wait. Absolutely can't wait. Come
I'm
in.
sorry, Tishan. Come in if you want. We're wrapping up.
We are.
We should do. Tishan Williams has just walked in. That's stage, isn't it?
That stagey blog.
That stage bloke. Well, I should let you get on because you've got a show to do tonight, which I'm going to come and.
Dude, I've got some lyrics to learn because I actually
And a film to
don't
watch.
know them.
Oh, you never know. Just get a stand and like read them.
Just stand and read. And it'll be
Hear
fine.
around us.
What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
Some of my I've got some brilliant crack stories. Oh, one of my favourite.
Bet you have. On that note, it's been a pleasure.
On that note, Jesus. Well, thank you very much. Good luck in your future projects. Cheers. Thanks for coming. Everyone, please fill it down. This is that stagey blog. Thank you for watching. You never even use your cards. What?
I've been referring to them. They're all there.
There's nothing written on them. They're just here for. They're just
Don't
a prop.
expose me.
They're just. Oh no, there's something written on that one. It's
That's somebody else.
That's some. Oh, we don't need that.
You don't need that one.
Oh, this is. Oh, there we go. Oh, and
Let's see, we've covered it all.
Oh, is it? Oh, you have.
Yeah.
Well, I did do Panto and Skegness. We didn't talk about that. Panto and Skeg Vegas.
Well, I don't know if you wanted. We talked about Aladdin. Didn't we? I know.
No, well,
Were you in Aladdin?
Anything else? No, I was Aladdin. Aladdin is Aladdin.
Did you talk about high school hits?
We did high school clits.
High school tits.
High school bits. High school shits. 4-time Olivier nominated Summer Strallen.
Yes,
Good.
we didn't talk about her.
No, we didn't talk about
She
High
gets
Summer.
enough coverage now, surely.
I mean, she gets enough shit from me.
Did you know her before?
Vaguely, she dated one of my really good friends, so that's how we initially met. But yeah, working with her was great. Oh, she's amazing. She is amazing, and we laughed. That was one thing with bromance. I'll take away from it is we laughed for 6 weeks. It was a hoot. It was an absolute hoot, and I just seem to get cast a lot of gay characters all the time. But I'm fine with it as long as we laugh as much as we do there, and you've got Summer Strallen with the legs giving it this every day.
Yeah.
She's an 4-time Olivier nominated Summer Strallen. Never won though.
Awkward.
I mean, it says
How many
0-time Olivier
I was going
nominated.
to say, how many times did you go? Have you been to the show?
Hey look, I'm not even nominated for a Broadway World Understudy of the Year award, which my friend Matt Harvey was nominated for one, and
you would go on.
and came second in the vote when he never even went on. That's what you get when you cover Ramin, isn't it? Maybe I need to cover some actual famous people instead. Like, if anyone wants to book me, that'd be great.
Who was held a prize when you For 3 years.
When I start, KJ Hippenstall for 2 years, who I covered, and then I covered Dom Simpson, who's still there now. He's doing it now. He's in his second year. So I was at college with Dom as well. It's amazing, like how it all comes full circle. You end up working
The circle of life.
the circle. No, hang on, yeah. If anyone ever sees this, they're just
Yeah,
gonna
racial
look, except be like,
appropriation
never,
there.
ever
You know what I
book
mean?
him.
Never.
You can have those back.
Okay.
Just steal them.
You go and learn your lines. See you later.
Bye.